So you've built a website, maybe an app. You've poured hours into the features, the design, getting that user experience just right. But what about security? What if I told you that everything you've built could be completely compromised in the time it takes to make a cup of coffee? Let's break down exactly how that happens and what you can do about it.
So let me ask you this. How long does it really take for a skilled researcher to find a critical flaw in a new app? A week? A day? An hour, maybe? Well, the real answer is terrifyingly fast.
Okay, picture this. It's 3 p.m. A security researcher lands on a new site. By 3:01, just 1 minute later, they've used a simple SQL injection, which is basically tricking the database into talking when it shouldn't. And bam, they have the entire user database. A minute after that, a cross-site scripting attack is live, injecting malicious code into the site. By 3:04, because there are no limits on login attempts, they've just brute forced the admin password. In 5 minutes, it's game over.
And then you get that email. The one every founder has nightmares about. This isn't some hypothetical threat, It's a real message, and it means your entire business is now on a ticking clock. The pressure is on, and the consequences are very, very real.
A single hack isn't just a tech problem. It's an existential threat to your business. And the financial cost? It's absolutely staggering.
So according to a 2023 IBM report, the average cost of a single data breach is almost $4.5 million. And listen, that's not just a fine. That's the total hit from lost business, your reputation getting destroyed, and just the cost of cleaning up the mess.
And for smaller businesses, it's even worse. 60% of them shut their doors for good within just 6 months of a major data breach. They just can't bounce back from that kind of damage.
The scale of this problem is, it's hard to even wrap your head around. In 2021 alone, over 22 times billion records were exposed. That's nearly 3 records for every single person on the planet. It points to a massive foundational flaw in how we build things for the web.
And if you're sitting there thinking, oh, this only happens to small startups, think again. Giants like Equifax, Capital One, British Airways, they've all suffered massive, incredibly expensive breaches. The lesson here is pretty clear. No one is immune. If you're not proactive about this, you are vulnerable. So how do we get proactive?
Well, the good news is we don't have to guess where to start. There's a playbook, a guide that helps developers defend against the most common and dangerous threats out there.
It's called the OWASP Top 10. OWASP stands for the Open Web Application Security Project, and their list, it's the gold standard. It is the essential starting point for building a secure application.
And probably the best way to understand these threats is to think about home security. Let's make it simple. The number one vulnerability, broken access control, that's just leaving your front door unlocked. Cryptographic failures, it's like leaving your valuables out in plain sight for anyone to see. And an injection attack, that's like someone literally poisoning your water supply. When you think about it like that, it all starts to click, right?
Okay, so understanding the threats is half the battle. The other half is actually knowing how to fix them. And the good news is, for many of these critical flaws, the fixes are surprisingly straightforward.
Let's start with injection, number 3 on the OWASP list. Remember our analogy, poison in the water supply? An attacker slips some malicious code into a query, and that code then runs on your database, contaminating everything.
So here's what that looks like in the actual code. The vulnerable version on the left, it just blindly trusts user input and stitches it right into the database command. So dangerous. The secure version on the right separates the command from the user's data. It's basically telling the database, hey, this is the instruction, and this other thing is just data. Do not ever run it as a command. That tiny difference is everything.
All right, now for the big one, the most common vulnerability of all, broken access control. This is, quite simply, the unlocked front door. It's when a regular user can get to things they have absolutely no business seeing, like an admin panel or another user's private data. And the fix? It's a non-negotiable rule. You have to check permissions on every single request. It's not enough to check the key at the front door. You have to check it for every single door inside the house, every single time. No exceptions.
Okay, so we've seen the threat, we've seen the cost, and we've seen some specific fixes. But the most important defense isn't a line of code. It's a mindset. It's a fundamental shift in how you even approach building software.
This security-first mindset really boils down to 4 parts. First, you have to truly acknowledge that the risk is real. It's not something that happens to other people. Second, learn the playbook. The OWASP Top 10 is your map. Third, build these defenses in from day one.
And finally, and this is so crucial, you have to understand that the work is never done. It's a continuous process of scanning, monitoring, and always improving. I love this quote because it says it all. You wouldn't design a skyscraper and then decide to add on the structural integrity later, right? Security isn't a feature you can just bolt on at the end. It has to be the foundation you build on from the very beginning.
And that brings us right back to where we started. So I'll just leave you with this simple question. You wouldn't leave your real front door unlocked at night, but what about your app's front door? Is it unlocked right now?